Welcome to the next video on networks. This is video 1, where we will discuss the lecture notes, and primarily we're just going to look at the question, what is a network? So here we're looking through the lecture notes given by Professor Starnini. So I think the main thing to focus on here is, what is a network? Well, maybe let's talk about some examples. So there are social networks, of course, networks of just friends who know each other, right? And you can think of that as every person can be represented as a dot, right? So if you have some two people, these are two dots, which we will call nodes. And then if they are friends, there is a line between them, or an edge. Here they're being called links, right? So you could have a person here, so this person in the friend network is friends with each of the other two people, but these two people are not friends with each other because no link is drawn between them. So that's an example of a social network. You could have a telecommunication network where satellites are linked together, right? Which would just mean that they can send and receive signals between each other. So then in that example, these nodes here that I'm drawing would be satellites, and the links between them would be if one of them can send a signal to the other one. There can be computer networks, and that can be from one computer to another. I believe we are also going to think about the components of a single computer, and they can communicate, some of them can communicate with other components of the computer. So even a single computer can be an example of a network of components. So anyway, that's, I think, a bunch of good examples of what a network is, and some of the vocabulary, especially nodes and links, or what I'll often probably call, because this is stuff that comes up in mathematics, and in mathematics we call them nodes and edges. So I might often call them edges, forgetting to call them links. And then the lecture notes give some more detailed examples, right? So the human brain is a network of neurons, right? So I guess every one of these little brightly colored dots is a neuron. And then you can have these links between them. I'm not sure, maybe if I heard the name of the links between them, I'd recognize it, but anyway, not important. And so here's some infographic with more details, but so these are very complex, right? I guess the point here is that these are very complex networks. This is some kind of a relationship between genes. I don't even know what the edges between genes would represent here, but probably not too important to know that. Some kind of diagram related to sociology. So here, I guess, dolphins, and some dolphins swim with other dolphins, so an edge between some two dolphins represents that they swim together. And more examples and more examples. Kind of a fun one, I suppose. These here, I guess, the nodes are articles published in journals, one would guess. And here it looks like we maybe even have, directed edges. A directed edge would mean presumably that one article cites the other one, right? So it's not a simple edge where just a connection means that they are somehow like symmetrically connected to each other. Here with a directed edge, it means that like one of them kind of has a directional relationship to the other. And it can sometimes point back the other way too, but with a directed graph. You can have these kind of like asymmetric relationships, connections between the nodes. Air transportation networks, so that would be what, like airports that have a flight from one airport to the other airport. And more examples. And so I think that hopefully makes it clear what networks are. And so in the next video, we'll start talking about properties of networks, the properties that we will be interested in studying in this class.